Once you've got XAMPP turned on and your WordPress site up and running, you can then log into your dashboard and handle any kind of administrative tasks as well as filling out the content of your site. So in this lesson, I want to take a quick moment to do a quick overview of the admin interface. So when you first log in, it takes you to the dashboard, the main page. We have a huge section up here at the top that has a few helpful items from WordPress that gives you some tutorials and things like that on how to get started with your site. You'll see we have some next steps on writing your first blog post, add an about page. If you want to get rid of this particular section of the admin interface, you can just click on this dismiss link there and it will go away. I'm going to leave it there for now. Below that, we have some more modules. You'll see we have a quick draft section here. This is for very, very quickly creating a new draft of a blog post for your site. This will save that draft to your WordPress database, and then you'll be able to go in and edit and publish that post in your site. We have some more items here. You're welcome to look through those. You can moderate your comments. There's a news section down here on the bottom right. There's some at-a-glance information. You can see how many posts and comments and things like that. So it gives you a high-level overview of some of the action that's been happening on your site. On the left, we have our main navigation, and you're going to be using this a lot. So it's good to get familiar with each of these links, and you'll see as we hover over some of these that we have some pop-ups. Just spend some time after this video clicking around on all of these different items just to get an idea of where everything is located. And if you have that in the back of your mind, then as we move forward and start customizing our website, then we should be able to navigate through our site pretty quickly. One of the major items you'll be clicking on is your posts. So if you're going to have a bunch of blog posts where you're sharing your thoughts or sharing new ideas or writing articles, this is where you would go to write any kind of timely article. A post is, again, considered something that sometimes may be fleeting, something that you might be updating on a regular basis. A page, on the other hand, is a static page, such as a Contact Us or an About Us page, as opposed to an article on a specified topic. And again, we'll get more into posts and pages later on. There's also a media link. This is where you will have an entire library of all the images and other media items that you might be using throughout your site. We also have comments where you can go to moderate any comments that have been made on any of your posts. We'll talk later about how we can also disable comments if you don't want people to comment on your posts and pages. Then we have our appearance item, which is going to be a very important item for customizing your site. In the appearance section, for example, you will be selecting the theme that you want to use for your site or the template. You're also going to have access to widgets and menus and things like that, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper later on. We also have our plugins section. You can use plugins to extend the functionality of WordPress to include things like shopping carts and calendars and things like that. You can add new users to your site. You can edit users. You can change your password. We have our tools section, which we might get into a little bit later on. We're not going to use this a lot. Certain plugins will add items to your tools section. We also have our settings section, which again might have other items added to it once we add some plugins. But this is usually the general settings for your site, where you can change your site title. You can change the email address associated with your site. You can change some high-level information on your site. If we go to the writing section, this is how your site behaves when somebody's writing new posts or new pages. The reading section is how your site's going to behave when your user's looking at your site or reading through your site. Discussion is going to determine how your comments behave. Then we also have more settings for media and permalinks. We're going to be repeating some of this information later on as we start diving in deeper to some of these tools, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview so that you could at least have some exposure to how to get around in your WordPress dashboard.